Hello YouTube, this is Tony, and I'm going to show you how to set up your Swift iOS project with Parse. I was initially going to show you how to set up your application with CloudKit, the new cloud service provided by Apple. However, I decided to go with Parse for several reasons. One reason is the CloudKit as of now is strictly for iOS, or not iOS, but Apple devices. Um, Whereas Parse, you can use it for Android, you can use JavaScript for web apps, or you can do it for an Apple device. They do almost essentially the same things. However, Parse also has easy integration with Facebook. So if you're creating an app that really wants to tie in with Facebook, it works very well with Parse, since they were actually acquired by Facebook in 2013. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to set everything up with Parse. Since everything on Parse's website is written in Objective-C, or mostly, on how to set it up and whatnot, we're going to show you how to do it with Swift. Okay, so I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you already have an account with Parse. If not, go ahead and sign up. So what I'm going to do now is set up an application on Parse that I'm going to use in my Xcode project. So I'm going to click on, I'm already logged in, so I'm going to click on my name and go to the dashboard. It'll take me to the apps that I currently have. But for now, I'm going to create a new app, and we'll just call it the new app, just so we can differentiate it. So this is new app. Let's create the app, and now we have a whole bunch of application IDs, or IDs and keys, so client key, JavaScript, etc. However, we're just going to go to the Quick Start Guide. Okay, so the app's been created. We're going to go to the Quick Start Guide, and now what we want. Well, actually, how to set it up first. We just want backend cloud storage for now. So I'm going to go click on data, okay, and then the environment is going to be mobile, and then we're going to go for iOS. That's what we're targeting. So again, you can see you can use Parse for Android and Windows Phone 8. So now we're going to pick Objective-C. Okay, even though we're going to be using Swift, we'll choose Objective-C here, and we'll say that this is for an existing project. Okay, so at this point, what you need to do is actually download and unzip the SDK. So you can follow these steps right here if you don't have it already downloaded. I do have it downloaded, so I'm just going to use it from there. Now, once you have it downloaded, let's jump over to Xcode and let's create a project. So create a new Xcode project. Drag it on this screen, and we're going to just do a single view application, just a basic thing just to show you how to use Parse, and we're going to just call it again new app, tying it together with the Parse application using Swift, and this is for iPhone. Don't use core data. Let's go next. We can save it here. I'm actually working on a video right now for a login screen for Parse, which will come after this video. So we'll just save it here. Alright, so now we have our basic Xcode project set up. Let's jump back to the Quick Start Guide, and now we see here copy the items, essentially the SDK, into your application. So what we need to do here is go to wherever you downloaded the SDK and drag the parse.framework folder to your Xcode project. Okay, so let's go back. Here's Xcode, and now I'm going to go to the Finder and just navigate to wherever I have it downloaded. Pretty sure it's in Documents. Oh, there it is. So here's the parse.framework. So we're just going to click and drag that into our Xcode project. Let me use my other screen here and blow this up, and then where is it at? Here we go. Alright, and so we just click on the Parse. I have it on another screen. Click on the Parse framework and drag it into your application. So drag it right here and click it, and then say copy the destination, copy items if needed. We'll click that, create this add to this target here, and finish. Okay, so now the Parse framework is added here. So we have all the header files for using Parse, which is essentially the API. And now let's go back to their website. So we've copied them in. Now what we have to do is actually add the dependencies. So there's a bunch of frameworks that we have to add in order for Parse to work. So let's go back to Xcode, and then we'll click on our main application here, so new app, and then come over here to build phases, and then we're going to come down to link binary with libraries, and then we're going to come in here and add a bunch of frameworks. Okay, so the first one you can follow on their website, but I'm just going to do them here. So we want system configuration.framework. Add that. The next one is storekit.framework. The next one's going to be security. I know this is pretty boring, but it's necessary in order to use Parse. The next one's going to be quartz core. Then we need mobile core services. Again, if I'm moving too fast, all of these are listed on their website. Then we need lib z.dy lib right here. And then we need core location. And then we need core graphics. And then CFN network. And then audio toolbox. And that should be it. So there's 10 libraries besides the Parse here. So let's go back to their website. So we have, here's all of them here for your reference. So here's all of the frameworks here. Okay, so let's go back to our Xcode project. So everything's set up now. Now what I want to do is actually group all of these frameworks into just a frameworks folder. So what I'm going to do is command and click on each one of these frameworks over here, and then right click it and say new group from selection right here. So it essentially creates a folder, and we'll call it frameworks. Okay, so now we have all of the frameworks underneath here, so we can just group them together here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is actually just run the app just to make sure everything's working. We have all the libraries in here, right? Well, actually, first let's actually create. Well, actually, let's just run it just to test it out. Okay, so let's just compile and build it, and then we'll jump to the next step. Okay, so build succeeded. Everything's working fine. It's going to be running the app wherever it is. Here it is. It's just going to be a blank screen right now. Okay, so it's working fine. So the next thing to do to actually use the Parse API, we have to make what's called a bridging header, because let's actually go back to their website and it'll explain it a little better. So if you look at connect your app to Parse, right? So the first thing that you have to do is open up your appdelegate.m. In our case, it's just going to be appdelegate.swift. Okay. Now it says import just like this. However, we can't. This is an Objective-C import statement. So if we try to use this inside of our appdelegate.swift, it won't work right. So what we actually need to do is create a bridging header. Okay. So let's go back to Xcode, and then come File, New, a new file, and then we're going to create an Objective-C file here. Okay. So then click Next, and it's gonna, let's name it whatever. It doesn't matter. Well, I'll name it dummy. In the end, we're going to be deleting this Objective-C or .m file, but creating this Objective-C file actually gives us a bridging header. So we're just going to create it. It doesn't matter what it's called. We're going to delete it eventually. Okay. So we save it as whatever dummy create, and then it prompts you, would you like to configure an Objective-C bridging header? Yes, we do. That's the whole reason why we created that, the dummy.m. Let me just move these down. I was highlighted on this. Move these down to new app. Minimize this. Okay, so now we have this dummy.m file, and here's the bridging header that we actually wanted. So let's actually come in here and delete the dummy.m. remove reference. Okay, so now we have the bridging header here. So now what we can do is actually type out that import statement. So import parse slash parse.h, which is from here. So we import all of the parse API, and that's all we need to do. So now we have this import statement, or this bridging header, which interacts between the Objective-C code and the Swift code. So now inside of our app delegate we can test out and we can use the Parse API. So this is the most important part in being able to use Parse with your Swift application. Okay. So let's go back to the website, and now then before continuing, okay, so make sure that your app is selected from here. So if you have multiple apps over here, you can just select the one that we're currently using, and if you change it, just to show you, what happens is it changes these IDs and the client keys. So you want to make sure that you're on the app that you really want to be using. Okay. So now what we want to do is go into our app delegate.swift and basically connect the Parse app or the Parse database to our application, and we do that by using these keys here. Okay. So let's go back to our app delegate.swift, and inside the did finish launching with options, we're going to connect it here. Okay, so in this case we're going to, all of the code on their website is written in Objective-C, but we're going to just convert it to Swift on the fly. Okay, so let's just copy first. Actually, let's just copy this whole thing. You could just copy the client ID and whatnot, but I'm just going to copy it to here. We'll just put a comment and copy that. Okay, so we want, this is the application ID. So now let's actually create this. So what we can do is just say parse dot set application ID, and now the application ID is simply this right here. So copy this, oops, and paste it here, and this is a string. There we go. And then the client key is right here. This is a string. There we go. Okay, so now we have the same exact code that they have here. So we set the application ID with the application ID here and the client key here. Okay, so now we can remove this. Okay, so I'm just going to include a few comments here. So this is linking to the Parse database. Okay, so now once we've linked it up, let's go back to here. And to track statistics around the applications, we don't actually need to do this for now. So now let's just go back, compile, make sure everything's working again. Okay, build succeeded, everything's fine. So let's go back, let's stop this, go back to the website, and now right here we can test out the SDK to make sure that we've actually have everything working correctly. We're actually accessing the Parse SDK. So what we can do is actually create a test object. Okay, everything that you do in Parse is going to be used essentially with a PF object. You create objects and then you submit them to the database, and then you can use keys as you see here, foo and bar for your key and value. Okay, so that's everything. That's how everything's stored. If you have any previous knowledge with MySQL or databases, this should be very familiar to you. So let's just actually create this test object inside of our view controller. Okay, so let's go back to Xcode and let's just come to the view controller, and we'll just do it inside of view did load here. Okay, so let's come down to here, and I'm going to be doing like jumping back and forth. So actually, let's just copy this code here, and then we'll just, so we copy that, and then we'll put it into comments here. Okay, so now let's convert that into Swift. All right, so now let's write the Swift code. So we have create a variable test object, and it's of type PF object, and this equals PF object, and then we use construction with the class name. The class name is test object. Okay. Now the next line, we're actually creating the key value pair here, so we're saying test object of foo equals bar. Okay, so this is dictionary syntax here. So this is the key, which is foo, and the value is bar. And now we simply save the object. So test object dot save, and then we'll do in background. Okay. All right. So there's this Objective-C code converted. So let's just delete this. All right. So now we have just that. So let's save it. Now let's jump back to their website. So now once you have all this completed, simply run your app, and everything should be updated on your dashboard. And then we can use this test button here to make sure that everything is working correctly. So now here it is. So let's just run the app. All right, the app's running right now. So let's just stop it. Let's go back to their website and say test. And congrats, you saved your first object. So all of this stuff is, here's the ID for the particular object that you have, and you can see here the key value pair, so foo and bar. Okay, and then it has the specific time it was updated and the time that it was created. Okay, so now if you want to see this actual object, which is one of the best features of Parse, to see the data analytics, go to your dashboard and then go to the application. So we want to go to data browser, and here's the actual the class test object that we created, and here's the key value pair. So we've created a key foo, and here's the value bar, and it gives you also the time that it was created and updated, and then the actual object ID for this particular value here. So again, that's how you connect everything to your Swift project to Parse. So we've basically just set everything up. We have we've created the bridging header, which allows us to use the Objective-C import statement. We've actually linked all the frameworks that are necessary for the Parse framework. And then what we did was simply go to our app delegate and link it to the Parse database using the client ID and the key here. And then we went to the view controller and just wrote a very simple object and saved it to the background. Okay, so we've created a class called test object, and then we just simply use test object, a dictionary notation to add a key value pair, foo and bar, to this class here. Okay, and then we simply saved it in the background, and now it all updated live. So if we go back to here, we have this here, and you can change everything around and mess with it. I highly recommend their documentation on parse.com. It is very well written, especially for iOS and OS X. And if you go to actually the documentation, go to iOS, OS X, everything is translated to Swift as well. So as you can see here, it's similar to the documentation in Apple. Here's simply saving objects. They have Objective-C and Swift. It's not very hard to transition from Objective-C to Swift. Like if you look at the Objective-C code to translate it to Swift, it's not very difficult, but for your convenience, it's here, just in case you don't know Objective-C. And they have everything from just basic objects to actually searching or querying the database, and how to actually integrate Facebook into it and Twitter, and so on and so forth. So I highly recommend taking a look at this documentation. They have a bunch of code on here. But for now, that was just the basic setup. Everything's working. It's linked to our Parse database. So it's up to you guys. Now you can experiment with Parse. So look out for the next video, which is going to be a simple login screen. So you'll actually be able to see Parse's feature, which is like they actually have a user table, so you can actually have users log in and log out of your app, and you can maintain who can use your application. All right, so I guess I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.